Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Happy day after the feast if you went that route this year. It's a beautiful morning. It's gray here in Cleveland. This is the norm for this time of year. But there's something in the air that just feels kind of alive. It doesn't feel like the middle of winter where everything is still and completely peaceful, but there's still this energy, I think, out there, especially in nature, that is saying that, I'm still alive. I'm still here. Right? Not completely at rest yet. And sometimes when that energy is out there, I've noticed that it creates like some amount of anxiety within myself or within other people around me, a little bit of restlessness maybe. So I'm thinking that this morning we'll just do a little bit of yin practice, about, half an hour, 25 minutes of moving our bodies, building a little bit of strength maybe in our dignity muscles, which are our glutes and our back. We're going to focus a whole lot on our shoulders this morning and our hips and our lower back. So I just want to recommend having some props as we get started. I have a couple of blocks here. Maybe you have a couple of books. I'm sitting on a bolster, and underneath me I have a folded up blanket just for a little additional padding and comfort. So just gather your things, whatever you have around you. We're going to spend time with the shoulders, the hips, and the low back. But throughout this practice, I really want you to feel supported and feel comfortable and feel like you're in contact with the ground underneath you. And so we're going to begin in a seated position. Just take a moment to get yourself there, to get as comfortable as possible. I'm going to slide a couple of blocks underneath my outer thighs and take an easy seated position. Good. And then once you find your seat, let's just take a couple of circles with the head just to get started. I think this is how we ended the yin class last night. So why not begin with it this morning? Just taking note of how the neck is feeling after a night of sleep, how your jaw feels. If your jaw feels a little clenched, a little tight, you might open up your mouth really big or stick your tongue out. And maybe as you move your neck around, you're taking a look up here and bringing the base of your skull close to your upper back. Really feeling that stretch on the underside of the jaw, through the throat. Good. And then bring your head back into a neutral position. We're going to sit here for a couple of moments in seated meditation. So your hands can be any way you want them to be. This morning I'm going to start with my palms facing up at my knees, just because it feels kind of open and receptive. If you're in need of additional grounding, your fingertips can touch the floor. Or maybe you just intuitively place your hands somewhere on your body, wherever you need. And let's just take 10 breaths together. All right, the breathing can be any way it needs to be, but see if you can start to direct the breath through the nose. The good news about practicing at home is that nobody can hear you if you've got a lot of congestion. So feel free to just make a lot of sound if that's what's happening. Working to kind of clear the nostrils. Notice the depth and the speed of your breath. And then not working to deepen your breath just yet, just kind of an observer role right now. Okay, we'll work on deepening our breath a little bit later, but we just kind of want to get a baseline. All right, a few more breaths. All right, and then if your eyes are closed, go ahead and open your eyes and take your arms out to the side And just give a really big stretch. Maybe the fingertips reach towards the edge of your screen. And it might be nice to kind of like twist your upper body very gently from side to side, feeling what your shoulder blades are doing, how one shoulder blade scooches in towards the spine and then the other. Good. Noticing your fingertips and the distance between the space between your shoulder blades and your fingertips. Good. And then we're going to wrap the arms. So let's take the right arm underneath and just give yourself a little hug around. All right. And as you hug around, drop the chin in towards the chest. And let's take maybe 7 or 8 breaths into that kind of stretched out space between the shoulder blades. All right. A bunch of breaths for the back of your neck. Good, just 2 more breaths here. All right, and then allow those arms to open up, and let's just change the cross of the legs if you're sitting in your easy seat. And release your fingers behind your back. Lift the center of the chest up. Good, and then we'll just switch and take the left arm underneath this time, giving yourself a little hug around. Again, just drop the chin towards the chest. Give the head a little roll from side to side. Observe those muscles in the upper back. Those muscles that are underneath your shoulder blades, that move your shoulder blades. Good, just a couple more breaths. Good, and then go ahead and unwind those arms again, interlace the fingers behind the back, lift up the chest. And you might even look up here if that feels okay in your neck. All right. And then we're just going to shift into a butterfly shape. So the soles of the feet will come together, the knees will be out wide. And let's fold forward for a bit here. You might remove the props from underneath your seat. You might take the blocks away if you've got them there and just kind of bring your seat to the floor. But it's early, you know. Do what you can to feel supported. Sometimes, you know, diving into a really intense stretch first thing in the morning can, I don't know. It's not always super great for me, so maybe you're in the same boat. Right? Just thinking about easing into things a little bit. Rather than like the full-on dive in. Maybe you're just like dipping your toe, and slowly walking in. Looking for that edge of mild discomfort. Nothing intense, but a little something. And then just do your best to stick around there for a while. I think we're going to hang here for about 2 or 3 minutes. Good. Let your breathing be pretty full now. It still feels kind of automatic and unregulated and maybe a little shallow. Start to really be conscious of your breathing. And I found that that consciousness always brings like a slightly bigger breath. Right? Like we know it's good for us. Like we know that we really need it. And breathing in a way that feels like it's waking you up. Breathing so that you can release tension. Good, just about 5 breaths more here. Good, and then let's come to sit up. And just for a little bit, we're gonna extend our legs out. All right, just have them out in front of you. And let's take the arms and reach them up and overhead. And then if you can grab a hold of elbows, grab a hold of your elbows. Good, feel your head kind of moving so it's above your pelvis. And take notice of how the shoulders feel. And it might be nice to kind of dip from side to side just a little bit. This doesn't have to be a super big movement. Just enough so that you can feel a little bit of a change around the rib cage, through the armpit. Again, just finding that little bit of discomfort. Nothing too intense. A little something. Good. And then you might take your hands out again, lift up the heart. We're going to bring the soles of the feet back together and cross the arms so that the hands touch down onto the knees. And let's fold forward here. You let the head drop down, feel the soles of the feet touching each other. Good. 3 more breaths with the arms crossed like this. Good. Start to lift yourself up. Unwind those arms. Give them a little wiggle. A little something. And then we'll just cross the other way. The other arm on top now. Fold yourself forward. Maybe 5 breaths here. Good. Start to lift yourself up. Extend your legs out long in front of you. And let's just take a forward fold. So I have blocks under my knees. I'm sitting on my bolster. Maybe you're just on the floor without things. Your knees can be bent. Your legs can be straight. But just folding forward, let your head drop down here. Really notice how things feel all along the spine, especially down into the lower back, the backs of the legs. Notice how your breath kind of changes things. Good. Now notice the middle of your back. Allow the breath to change the middle of your back. Good. And then once again, notice your upper back. I know we've been focusing a lot on that this morning. It's a place that can get so rigid and so tense. So for these last 5 breaths or so, really focus in on the upper back, the shoulders, and then the head and neck too. Perfect. Let's start to slowly sit up here. And then we're going to make our way onto our back for a little bit this morning. So you might clear your whole space of all of the props. That's what I'm going to do. Just make sure you have a blanket nearby and a block nearby. And let's come to lie down and just stretch out nice and long. Really reach the soles of the feet away from the fingertips. Good. Big, big, big stretch. And then a couple of rotations of your wrists, your ankles. Good. Rotations in both directions. And then plant your heels down and point and flex your feet, kind of like pulsing them quickly to sort of rock your body into the floor. Good. Let your pelvis move, let your shoulders move, your spine. Good. And then find some stillness here, and we're going to scoot our heels over to the left. All right, as you scoot your heels to the left, it might feel nice to place your left ankle on top of your right. And then notice the way that right side body feels. If this is like pretty relaxed, if this feels like nothing, you're always welcome to scoot your upper body over to the left as well. And you can leave those arms loose, or you can grab a hold of your elbows as you scoot over. It's getting yourself into this banana shape. Good, and take notice of the parts of your body that are experiencing some amount of discomfort. Okay, for me this morning, it's around my hip and my low belly and low back. A little bit into the shoulder too. And those are the areas that I think generally we feel the most stretch and the most discomfort. Okay, make note of any low-grade discomfort around your jaw, your eyes. Maybe your feet are tight here. Maybe you're kind of gripping your arms overhead. See if all of that can relax just a little bit. Good. Just taking about 10 more breaths here in banana. And one more deep breath over here. And then bring yourself back through to the center. Let's take the soles of the feet down to the floor. And you might decide to lift the hips, lift the spine for a bridge pose. Or maybe this morning you want to take a happy baby, bring the knees to frame the chest and rock around on your lower back. If you've chosen the bridge pose, really notice the way your glutes, your hamstrings, and the muscles of your back, the back of your torso, are working together. Right? Feeling like none of them is really in charge, but they're all kind of in charge. They're all doing the work. Good. And feel the chin dip towards the throat, the back of the neck gets long here. Right, and then go ahead and roll that spine back down to the floor. And let's cross that left knee over the right. So we're coming into this like an eagle sort of pose on our back, or a shoelaces pose. And then we'll hug the knees in towards the chest here. And this is a good place to stay, clasping the knees. If you have really mobile lower body joints, you're always welcome to reach for the feet too, if that's not too intense. Remembering that, a little bit of discomfort is good. High, intense levels of discomfort and or pain, not so good. So really trying to discern the difference between the two. I think that's one of the gifts of this practice, honestly. Right? Noticing where we are putting ourselves into a little bit of discomfort, finding a little bit of a challenge. Right? That can be a good thing. But constantly doing that or constantly putting ourselves into painful poses or situations, not so great. A few deep breaths. Let's take like another 7 or 8 here. Good. 2 more breaths. All right. And then unwind here and just do what feels like the next right thing. Maybe it's that happy baby. Maybe after all the big stretch in the outer hips and in the glutes, you want to take another bridge pose to kind of reinforce the balance between strengthening and release. Maybe you want to have your hips on the ground and send your feet up towards the ceiling and roll your ankles around. That's also really nice. Let's just take 5 deep breaths in the middle. Good. 1 more breath. And as you roll yourself down, let's all take a little bit of a happy baby here, knees wide. We just want to roll around on that lower back and see if we can identify any tense spots. And really feeling the connection of your whole sacrum to the ground, your sacrum being that bony plate at the base of the spine. You take notice of each one of your hips, the way they're feeling this morning. Good, and then let's extend those legs out nice and long on the mat again, on the floor. We're going to scoot those heels over to the right this time. So as you scoot the heels to the right, maybe that right ankle wants to cross over the left for a little bit of grounding. Right? How does your upper body feel? If you're not experiencing a whole lot in the left side body, you might scoot the upper body over to the right. Maybe extend the arms past your head or grab a hold of your elbows. You're always welcome to just take your hands onto your torso as well. And sometimes this is kind of not the most comfortable thing for the shoulders, just because of the nature of this pose, really. We get a lot through the side of the body just by moving our legs in this way. Good, so deep breaths. Really feel your lower belly moving here. Wonderful. Big inhale and a big exhale. All right. And let's make our way back to the center. And as you find the center, one more time, feet up, your bridge pose, your happy baby, whatever feels like just the right thing before finding our shoelaces on our back on the other side. Couple breaths, maybe 5 or so. Good, and then let's cross the, I think it's the left knee. No, the right knee over the left. That's where we're going with this. Good. And in your shoelaces, again, just noticing if holding onto the knees feels like enough, in the outer hips, under the glutes. Or maybe you want to reach for opposite foot with opposite hand. Good, and really there's no wrong way to do this. This is just about you kind of observing what's going on. If at any point in time it starts to feel painful, especially around the knees, but also in the hips, back up a little bit. There's no shame in backing out of the yin pose ever. This is a practice about discernment, awareness, like present moment awareness. How do things actually feel? And maybe we can let go of how things felt yesterday, or how we sort of think things might feel tomorrow. And just breathe into whatever is going on right now. Good. About 5 more breaths. Okay. And then begin to unwind yourself. Let go. And so I'm thinking of maybe another happy baby here, or if you'd like, you can reach up for the feet and extend one leg out long, kind of like a half wide angle happy baby situation. You might extend the other leg out long and take a little rock along your lower back. Or maybe you want to extend both legs out long. Good, just a few moments to notice the shoulders and the low back, each one of your hips, the soles of your feet, the back of your head. Good. Taking a little bit of time here just to rock around. And then eventually we're going to make our way up into a seated position, unless you want to finish on your back in Shavasana. Okay. But really the whole yin practice is kind of like Shavasana. So we'll just take a little bit of time sitting up here, maybe a minute or so, seated meditation. And let's take Uttara Bodhi Mudra this morning, which is your index fingers and your thumb extended out, your thumb kind of pointing away from the index finger. And then you're going to flip your hands and bring this towards your heart. Good. And think about your thumbs kind of touching that, the end of the breastbone, the xiphoid process. And your index fingers are touching at the top of the breastbone around the heart. Let your elbows be wide. Shoulders released. Good. This mudra is the cosmic lightning rod. It gives us a chance to connect with inspiration from the greater world around us. So as you move through the day, you might look for inspiration that presents itself, maybe even in the smallest of ways. Looking for beauty, looking for connection. And a few more deep breaths here. Good, and then go ahead and just take your hands onto your heart. Stack one on top of the other, lift up the heart, and then drop your head down towards your hands, honoring this time you spent taking care of yourself. I hope you all have a really wonderful Friday, and I'll be back on Monday for 15-minute mudra and meditation. And next Friday, Wendy is going to start teaching an hour-long Friday morning yin class on Zoom. So if you want in on that, you can just go to the website. There's a link to sign up for classes there, or you can send a direct message. All right, cool. Hope you have a wonderful Friday. All right, see y'all later. Bye.